Welcome! Were you ever frustrated about students not starting the exercise because they couldn't find it? Let's get real. Poor organization kills students' motivation faster than anything else. Think about it. The more time students spend searching for materials, the less energy they have for actual learning. And as teachers, our job is to make learning as smooth and engaging as possible. And here's the secret: a well designed digital notebook isn't just about storing information, it's about creating a learning journey that students can navigate independently. I'm going to walk you through my proven system developed through years of teaching and professional development. And we'll cover how to structure the content library, how to design intuitive chapter structures, and how to keep activities on the pages from being overwhelming. Today, it's about getting the overview. If you are interested in a step-by-step process, setting up your personal OneNote with me, stick to the end and join the workshop list. Let me actually share my screen. Okay. If you are a complete beginner, it might be helpful to do a OneNote or OneNote class notebook essentials course. If you actually would be interested in that, let me know in the comments. And depending on which OneNote version you have, you will see a vertical or a horizontal structure of the chapters. For today's training, I'll stick with this horizontal chapter structure, but if you're used to the other one, you can imagine the chapters being on the left side. First, you have to think about what kind of chapters you have in your subject. So for my subject, I teach physics, I created sections for each chapter I wanted to cover. So I have the introduction and the chapter about energy and electricity and heat and so forth. And for most subjects, it's exactly what makes sense, creating one section for each chapter that you will cover in your teaching career with this class. And now let's focus on actually one chapter. So a good structure has a significant effect on how much time students actually spend engaging with the content. And the worse the structure, the longer they take to find something. So the longer they have to search, the less energy and motivation they have to learn effectively. One thing which is very helpful in the communication is numbering. So instead of saying, for example, go to the energy task, I can say go to section 2.3. And on the right side, for those of you who already know OneNote a little bit, we have the pages, and I have here the section 2.3. And bam, here we are. And then I can talk about what they are solving here and not how to find the right task. So to determine which structure suits you, think about the materials you use for teaching and the activities students will undertake. For example, I work with a script, which I've sectioned in kind of subtopics that I cover in a chapter. And I marked the subtopics on the same page so they can read it horizontally. This is what suited me most, because this way all of the information is on the same page, and when students come back to revise before the test, they don't have to switch to all the different mini texts that I would provide along the way. So I decided to have the text, the script text, in one place. At the same time, when I go from subchapter to subchapter, I want for the students to have the activities to this respective subtopic just below where they know now we're reading this text. And the following structure has proven effectively for me. I create individual pages that contain the link to the script. So every time they encounter this page, they know, okay, now we are starting with the first part, and if they are in the script part, they see, okay, this is the part 1, this is the part 2, part 3, and so on. And below this first subtopic, I have the activities exactly directed to help understand what was written in the script. They have something they discuss with me or with the students. They have something where they make some first examples, and I actually love to use the table function, the colored table function, to also help them visually to know everything which is a yellow table. It's something they have to fill in. So it's always the way of communication, and you can provide helpful communication just by using the colors. Then they see, okay, we have an exercise with a video and something to calculate with the solution linked below. And then I have the next section, and they have the next activities. And in this way, all of the subtopics are linked to the according activities, while maintaining the possibility to see the script as a whole at the end before a test. So we know now we have one chapter per or one section per chapter that you will want to cover. We have on the right side the pages, and the pages have to be linked to your individual needs, your style of teaching. That's why if you want to kind of have individual support from me, join the link at the end for the workshop. So the sequence of activity or of activities, they correspond to the logical order that I would design for them for the lesson. Depending if I'm using a learning path for kind of more beginning students, where they can just follow through my path, or I use a learning environment where they can take different paths according to whether they love to watch all the videos first, read the text first, do all the exercises. It's more for advanced students. And in this way, I compile the materials for the entire chapter, paying attention to the variety. At the same time, it's very helpful for students to encounter the same processes repeatedly. So this way, they can focus directly on the task because the process is clear to them. So what I mean by that is when they go to the other chapter, like, I don't know, here, they see the same chapter overview, they have the same colors, they have the same criteria, and they know how it looks or where to find them. They have the same way how the script is structured. They have the same way how these different subtopics are allocated, and they have the same way of the exercises that are just below the corresponding text passage. So you can really help them by sticking to some rules that you can set up for yourself or just take from me and adjust further. The materials I prepared served as a kind of buffet. Of course, there are certain points that are important for everyone. Other activities, however, are optional or tailored to different needs. And in OneNote, it's possible to link the different pages. So I put together the roadmap for the class, which you can see right now as the chapter overview. The way to do it is I select a page, for example, when I know I want them to read first, and then I go to copy the link to this site, and I paste this link on a chapter overview. I would paste it somewhere here. I would see exactly what I copied before, and you can see the name of this page in OneNote, and if you click here, you'll be right back at the page where we were before. And by putting together a roadmap or actually a whole environment for learning, you can be very selective to what kind of needs of a class you want to tailor your way of teaching. So I use my buffet for every class, and I prepare a kind of a personalized version how they can navigate through the material. For example, for older classes or when they get advanced, I offer them not just a path, but a learning environment having beginner, advanced, and master paths. So I tell them that everybody has to go through the beginner and advanced stuff to get the grade, whatever is suitable for them or wishable for them. And for those who want to dive deep or who have the possibility, the capability to dive deeper, these ones I advise to go to the master class. So it's a really fun way to get for them an overview what's happening. Okay, so we've covered a simple way to using sections as your chapters. We looked how you can use numbering for your pages and compile them using the link function to an overview page. And there's one page which is actually very important for me, which I wouldn't skip. And this page is about the most effective learning methods that you can ever imagine. It's like the active recall method. I've set up a page to boost the learning curve of my students. After reading new materials, watching a new video, and especially at the end of the lesson, I would ask my students to write down 3 things they learned today. And this gives me the opportunity to see what really stuck with them. Knowledge can't be pushed. It has to be pulled from the inside. And that's what the learning journal is about. So if I go to my OneNote, starting with the very first chapter, I have here the learning journal where I have kind of the subtopics of the chapter and then like a little bit space for them to write down what they learned about something. Not what I have written in my own words and they copy it, but what they have constructed in their heads. In the second chapter we have the same learning journal. In the third chapter, so they know what we are doing, and it gets longer as we get further apart. And the best part actually comes in the next lesson. The first thing I ask them to do is to turn to their neighbor and tell them the 2 things they remembered from the last time. Bam, you're right back inside the topic, and it's a fun way for them to interact with their friends. And for me, it's a great way to start the lesson. They are active, and I have time to listen. You learn a lot about where your students are by listening to them, not by talking, by listening. And this is how you also avoid the frustration where you think they should know something and they just don't. Listen. And active recall is a way for them to give you a sneak peek of what actually is happening inside their heads. So if you are interested in a live workshop with me, setting up your space step by step, join the waiting list and be the first to reserve your seat. What I would like to dive a little bit more into is how to design actually your pages. Because the one thing I want to share with you, if you have your OneNote set up with these different pages and you go to one page, you can look at how far do your students have to scroll down to get to the end of the page. And if you see my pages, I scroll down like once and then I'm at the end of the page. And that makes it for students more easy to actually engage with the activity, because the activity doesn't seem so overwhelming. The activity can be split up in several subtopics, but if they see like, okay, I have to read 50 pages of a book, it just gets harder. So make it easier to start and you can build up from there. So, if you are in the process of moving from the teacher centered to self determined teaching approach, then the skill match method could be perfect for your students to give them the engagement they perhaps want to have, and it can really boost the whole atmosphere of the class. And now have fun trying it out, this little ideas I shared with you. Leave the question in the comment and join the list.